Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining. My name is Ben and I'm building my first game in Unity and this is my devlog. And as always, I'm going to start my devlog with a beer. Today I'm drinking Estrella. I went to the fridge earlier and realised I'd run out of craft beer, which is a bit of a bummer. But I do have this as a backup, which is not so bad. Right, so I say loads to go through, but there's some good stuff to go through this week. I did my video last week and the tone wasn't very great because I was in a really bad place last week. My game had a load of issues. It was sluggish. It was slow. My PC was just dicking around, and I did my video. I uploaded it on YouTube, or at least I thought I had. I didn't promote it or anything. Well, I want to say promote, put it on Twitter, but I didn't do any of that. And yeah, I just had a look and I realised I didn't even publish it. So since what happened is put it forward for Steam, then had some issues with the game which I felt were like show stopping material, as in half the scene wouldn't render properly, which was really annoying because I hadn't done anything specific to stop that, and I spent 2 days trying to get around that problem and got nowhere. So last week I was a little bit peed off. This is what, not that. I mean, one of these videos sort of shows you the tone. Yeah, you can't see that because it's covered up. But just let's just ignore the audio for a minute. Just look at what's going on in the background there with like performance. I was having to work with this. It's chuggy, slow, and I've recently upgraded my CPU, so I was a little bit annoyed that everything was going this way. And this is how it goes with game dev, isn't it? And like anything on software, it's like it has ups and downs. Last week was a down, this week is an up. But to get to the up, I had to basically scratch all of this, rebuild this whole entire scene. But what I did find out is by rebuilding it, I'd actually made a big mistake. So I'm using meshes for the grass, the flowers, the trees, everything pretty much. And I hadn't rendered these meshes. Fucking hell, it's not that, Ben. Meshes. Meshes is. It is hard. I hadn't rendered these meshes. the mesh. Shis. With the tool that I should be. Fuck. Oh man, I don't know why that said it's got meshes. What's the plural from mesh? Mesh. I only have this problem talking when I do these videos. I don't know why this is. I think it must be the camera. It just puts me on the spot and freezes me out. But basically, where are we? That's what's going on. Let's find a mesh. Boosh. Alright, so all these meshes, whatever, detailed grass for example, and these are the standard Unity meshes. It sounds really weird now the more I say it. But I'd not forgotten, but I didn't realise I hadn't converted them all to my nature renderer, which you do as a nature asset. So you can hit this, and then the nature renderer, which we apply to each terrain tile, then handles the rendering for these meshes and gives a hell of a better performance out of the box. It does its own occlusion. Fucking hell, I've really picked a topic today. Occlusion rendering, which is, from what I gather, it seems a lot stricter than Unity's one, but which gives you like mad performance boosts. So you can have like thousands of these meshes all reacting in real time. So what I did is, because these none of this was showing up in the build, it was showing up in the game, in the preview like it is now, but when I went to build the game and play the game, all this was missing, and that was the issue. I couldn't work out why that was, and I went round in circles time and time again and got nowhere. So in the end I just deleted the whole terrain, put a new terrain in, and then had to go through the pain of trying to get the two layers to the two terrains to match up at height level, and then reshape the whole thing back into something to what it looked like before. I actually much prefer how it is now. And this is one of those things, isn't it? It's like sometimes it's better just to start again anyway and bin it all off, because you learn from your previous mistakes and you're not so protective over it. So to some degree, it was a good thing that everything went tits up, because it meant I had to sort of start again. And if I'll hit play, but I'll show you. I'm really, really happy the way it looks now. Like I changed my textures as well, so that they've got more detail. I think the textures I had before were good, but they didn't have enough noise in them, so it looked a bit repetitive and a bit bland. Now there's like lots of little details which all just captures your eye, and looks a bit more natural. I've also, with the paths and stuff, made them sort of bounce up and down a bit more uneven. Which is he still being abducted? Yeah, probably. Sorry, mate. Yeah, so you got a lot more detail now in the ground. Got some reflections. Something I need to look into a bit more. So I'm learning about reflections. I'm using a object to do the reflections, and it's great for a static object. It'll take this sort of snapshot of where that object is placed and get the reflections lined up perfectly, but that doesn't reflect in real time to where the player is or where the camera is. So, you know, if you go to the other side of the island and look towards where I am now, then the reflections actually line up nicely. But they need to turn and twist. But I was doing some research earlier, and I've got to do some stuff with the camera, I think, so that the reflection's done from the camera's point of view, which again is more like, obviously more has a impact on performance. Excuse me. But yeah, look at this. So using that nature renderer, everything's buttery smooth. I've got shitloads of meshes all over the place. Meshes. All being squashed as well when you walk on them. It's not very evident, but it's happening. The FPS has gone from about 2730 up to what you can see now, so 4950. A lot more reasonable. It's nowhere near the 60, so I've still got some work to do, but it's getting there. It's getting there. As you can see, like a lot of the environment, I'm having to redo and redesign because of that, losing that terrain altogether. But I've really, like, now it just looks awesome. I think so much better. I've got we've got some volumetrics going on in different zones now. Changed the storyline a little bit, just keep tweaking it. I always keep tweaking the storyline just to make it read better and make more sense. But yeah, bearing in mind I'm videoing this as well, which normally impacts my performance. It is a hell of a lot better. There you go. Look, there's the shadows now casting nicely. All these little details that I didn't have before, which I know I should be focusing more on the game and the story. I know that, but there's just some I can't let go of until I get it looking right. I just don't feel like I can move on, because I feel like the aesthetics are a big part of the game, especially when it comes to the VR part. You know, I want this to really sort of pop out. So I'm not too worried about that. The fact that I'm spending a lot of time on the environment, actually, and I really enjoy it. I love it. I get really excited. It's sad in some way, like, but I feel like a gardener, a landscape gardener. You know, when I put a tree in the right place and the grass below it and little mushrooms next to it, it all just sort of falls into place and looks nice. Got some glass now in the greenhouse. Little details like that I've started adding back in that I should have had. You can't fall off the edge of the cliffs now. I've started fencing that off. Again, this is based on some feedback I got from the beta. I'm going to show you my hay fever zone. This is my favourite new zone now. So this field, I wanted it to feel a bit itchy and a bit dry. And when you come down, getting a bloody cold again. But you got some orange mist going on. It's a little bit shaky. I need to look at that. Don't know if you can see that, but there's particles sort of suspended, floating around, which adds a nice effect when you run. We've got some butterflies floating around somewhere? Where were they? They're over here. There we go, up there. So again, just more details. So this is the other thing I've done as well. Is actually I've stripped back a hell of a lot of the assets that I was using to a very smaller set, and just tried to do more with less. And because of that sort of that restriction, like I've looked at scenes like this and thought, well, it looks alright, but what more can I do on it? So the first thing was like the mist, then there was like those particles, and it was like the butterflies in where the sun is, you know, like you won't naturally see. And again, I think those little details just bring the world to light. That mist is spreading over here. It shouldn't be spreading over here. Sort that out later. Again, it's really colourful and poppy now. Whereas I used to have like loads of different bushes down here, which was fine, but again, I just think this looks more natural. I've got higher res and higher res reflections now. I don't want to go too high on these because it's again, it's one of those performance cuts, you know, so I've got to be careful. I did try these in real time, and then that was just like, oh, no, it's not playable. But I think, you know, they do what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to look alien. They're supposed to look a bit odd and stand out, which is fine, and they do reflect, which is the overall idea. These are basically based on that thing that was happening in 2020, where these monoliths were being discovered in deserts and in the desert to begin with, and then they started popping up everywhere. So I thought, yeah, it'd be nice to tie these into the game, give them an alien purpose, which they have now. Moving on, I have done some more work on the water, start getting reflections into that, although this particular stream doesn't show that actually. But it's just looking, I think, a bit more natural. See that running around is just nice now. Had to remodel a lot of these areas, but again, I think for the better. I've added more depth and variety, just to try and. Oh yeah. The rocks keep popping up. I'm going to sort that out. Try to go for these zones as well. So we've gone through the yellow zone, the field, the landing zone, which is kind of your tropical, to your forest green, to over here, which is a bit more deserty, just so that each area has its own identity. This area doesn't have much going for it at the moment, but I'm hoping to add more later. The hut and the house, they have a purpose. At the moment they are empty, there's nothing in there, but they will have a purpose, and I've started that with these cassettes that you can find and locate around the island and play them back and discover the story of Harvey. Harvey was sent here back in the 80s to this island to do what he thought it was, to look after the place, do a bit of gardening, but it turns out someone else had other ideas, and he's been experiencing strange things which he's been documenting on the hope that someone else will find. Oh yeah, okay, so I've been messing around with terrain. That flickering normally happens when you haven't baked terrain, so not too worried about that. Again, like, the reflections are good. They're alright, but there's that oily green thing I need to sort out. Need to figure that out. Yeah, in this area of the field, I was going to make this more of a purple. Yeah, these type of plants. Not sure what you'd call them. Fill it up with those, but it's gone a bit sort of greeny. So I'll have to mix in some more purples. But yeah, we're again just trying to give this area its own identity. You can't really see the squashing, can you? I think I need to make my player a bit fatter. it is definitely squashing them down. And you can see your trail. Yeah, you can see the trail. It's just not as evident. I kind of want it to be obvious that you know where you've walked, because I'm hoping to make use of that later. Yeah, so then we'll swing down round to the front here. Obviously, you won't be doing this in the final build. Got some little plants in the ocean there. Yeah. And most importantly, when I do the build, all this shows up, which is a massive win. So that's, yeah, 4 weeks worth of effort. I'm pretty happy with that. And now I feel I can actually just get on and develop the game the way I want to, and spend some time just making areas look pretty, and also fix a few bugs. Once I've fixed a few bugs, I can start adding some new features. I really want to get the cassettes done. I've got one cassette, which at the moment you can pick up, but you can't play it or anything, and there's no count. So I need to create a few more cassettes, put them in locations that make sense, so that the player can start finding and collecting those. I've also been thinking about the camera as well. Like, I feel like there's a lot of white space in the game, like you're just walking around from A to B, but I want something to do in between A to B. The cassettes is one thing, you know, you keep your eyes out and collect those, but I feel like the camera needs to do something, and something a little bit strange. And I'm thinking about like delaying time. I was thinking about that game I used to play. I think it was called Project Zero, or something like that, on the Xbox. And basically that was a horror game. You walked around a house with a camera, and you'd look through the camera when you see spirits, and spirits would come towards you, and you'd have to like get them in shot, and then flash, and they'd fuck off. I don't want this to be a horror game, but I feel like the cameras, there's more that could be done with it other than just taking photos. The original concept of the camera actually was, I wanted people to sort of document their journey and then upload those photos to a website where they would become an investigator who's done their investigation on the island and their evidence. And then I thought it'd be quite interesting to see people's submissions and see what bits they've found and discovered that others may have missed, to tell the story. But I think that, in all honesty, that's a big ask at this stage, because I've got other things to sort out, like the game, and sorting shit like this out, which fucking hell, I keep having this problem with Digger, which is the tool for digging through terrains. I have to keep restoring, rebuilding, and just going around in circles. So then I have to restore it to bring the land back, but then it closes the hole up that needs to be there. So, yeah, go ahead. And it's little things like this actually that I've found have slowed me down. And I'm not complaining because, well, I'm complaining obviously, but I can't complain because there's no way I could do this sort of thing without these tools. So I can't really complain on that front. They do a grand job, but it is frustrating when they sort of break or don't do what you expect, and you're not really sure why. You know, not doing anything weird or strange. There we go. Look, there's the hole. Now I've got to go through, and you get all these jagged edges which just look weird. So you have to. Such is the game dev life. Anyway, so that all happened, and in the meantime, because I wanted a break from game dev over Christmas, I did something else. So I got myself a e-ink screen. Where's the camera? Oh shit! And I built myself a little frame, and it's got a little e-ink picture in it and a little camera up there, Raspberry Pi camera. And every 3 minutes, oh god, I've broken that. Every 3 minutes, it pulls a new image and refreshes the screen. Originally, it was like it would take every 3 minutes, I'd take a picture from the camera and then pixelate it because I thought that looked quite cool. But then it got quite boring because the frame's on the wall and there's not much happening around the environment. So yeah, I thought for now I'd just get some images up there. But I really like the look. and in 3 minutes' time that'll flicker and show a new image, and that was fun, albeit a little bit challenging. I did blow up a Raspberry Pi and lose a Raspberry Pi camera. That was a bit annoying. But then again, I have all this gear set around that I never do jack shit with, so it's nice to actually, even though I lost the Pi and the camera, it's nice to be able to use one of them, one of each, the Pi and the camera. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, what's going on there? Anyway, yeah, a good week all in all. Game's getting close. The release date is now the 30th of Jan. I'll push that back because I had this issue and I felt like I'd fix. There's a load of bug fixes in this release already, but I couldn't release it with the environment not showing up. So I had to contact Steam and say, can we push it back a bit, please? Which they were fine with. So that's been delayed a bit. And then that's like the baseline. Get this out with the cassettes. And potentially, I think that'll do for the beta. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on again. Alright, thanks for watching. Cheers and see you next time.